Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of Atypical Art Podcast. I'm Christy Olson, and today I have with me the lovely Lisa Schroeder. She is a sculptor and community person.
Yes.
Don't know of a title for it. She's involved with the community. You probably know her, but go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I'm Lisa Schroeder. I'm from Albany, New York. I grew up in Latham, New York, so not too far. I've always been around here.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm a sculptor, painter. I'm an artist, I guess. I can't really say what medium because I do a lot of things. And I'm also the founder of the Crit Wall and Symmetry Art Space, and I do a lot of things.
Yes. So we have a lot to talk about today, but you do a lot of different things. I didn't mean to just call you a sculpture person. A sculptor is what they call that. So what are all of the different things that you like to do?
Art-wise? Or, okay. So I have a belief system that I believe that artists are just artists and we all kind of reach in all different places. And I hate that we segregate like art mediums. So that's like kind of what I think of myself as. Like I'm an artist and I venture into different platforms of art. And so right now I'm venturing into sculpture and a lot of painting, which I was both formally educated in. So, but you know, who knows what my future looks like. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you just actually finished up at St. Rose, right?
Sorta.
Close.
I finished the art program. Yeah, I have a few like other silly classes I have to take. I'm basically finished. Look, we both have our cats.
I know. You need to get down, lovely. Well, that's great. When did you start making art?
Before school, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. I always kind of made and created. When I was right out of high school, which was back in 2006, I went to Hudson Valley for a small amount of time and kind of was trying to find myself. I painted a lot after Hudson Valley. I didn't finish the program there. Painted a lot for a really long time and then had like a medical secretary job for 9 years.
Oh.
Yeah. So crazy, but I know I was always really artistic though, and I finally I would say like what is it, 4 or 5 years ago went back to art school because I was like, what the heck am I doing? So yeah, no, but I've always painted. I've always made stuff. Everybody was, always asking me for things. But yeah, yeah. So yeah, I went to Hudson Valley and then I transferred into St. Rose. So
awesome. Very cool. What things did you like painting back then when you were more focused in painting?
Yeah, so I guess prior to understanding like how to conceptually understand your artwork, you just kind of paint whatever. So yeah, like which is also like kind of freeing in a way too. So yeah, I painted whatever came to mind. I painted a lot of birds. I did a lot of cat portraits for a while. I was like, everyone was coming to me to paint their cat. Yeah. I mean, I even like, I did a few weddings where I made like flower bouquets out of just like fabric and stuff like
that's
that.
Awesome.
A lot of stuff. So it was just like whatever I could get my hands on at the time or was thinking about. Nothing very specific, but.
Out of all of the different art forms you've worked with, what is your all-time favorite?
Painting.
Painting.
Which is funny. Well, because I'm practicing sculpture, but there's just a movement in painting and you know what I mean? It's just like you build for sculpture, it's done. In painting, it's like you're always like this bodily feeling while you're painting, which I really enjoy. So yeah.
Some of your newer sculptures, you also did like a image of them. Were those paintings too, or what did you use for those?
Yeah, no, I just started doing that. I've been converting my sculptures into paintings. So I have been painting my sculptures. Mostly because my sculptures are actually like only like very tiny and they're super interesting in an image. But when you see them in person, there's this like, it's like you're kind of over it. You just look at it and you're like, oh, okay. Like, so I'm really thinking about the audience with my work. So I've been kind of thinking about the contrast between image and object. So I've been painting my sculptures now. So.
Cool. If you were
Yeah.
to like display them, would you put them next to each other or just choose one of them to do?
Yeah, I would definitely place them next to each other. I wish I knew the artist. I don't. I apologize, but I saw a show that was in the city, and the woman painted, found people's sculptures. They weren't hers, but other people's sculptures, and then she painted them, and then they displayed them together. So like that contrast was really interesting for me. And that kind of is what inspired the whole painting and sculpture situation. But yeah, so
Cool.
yeah, display them together.
Awesome. What inspires your sculptures or paintings?
Yeah,
Very different. So like a lot of people, like what?
yeah. So my sculptures, they are very conceptual and in ways hard to understand with a lot of people. I basically have a understanding of objects in my life and how we put meaning in objects that don't really have meaning. So say like, I don't know, like, oh, this cup was my grandfather's and it reminds me of da da da. So like that's basically what I think about in my artwork. And also the concept of time, how like the past and the future doesn't really exist in time. So I recreate moments of my life through these objects that hold meaning, and I put them together to create another meaning, basically. So I'm recreating time from the past in
Cool.
the
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
Would you like be open to like telling people about those, or is that like kind of like you like to keep that to yourself, the different memories and what everything means to you?
Yeah. So there are some that are really, really personal, of course, but there are some that are just kind of like goofy things that happen in my life. Um, so I'm trying to think of an example here. It's hard because I don't have them in front of me. Recently I've been making pieces out of like a bread dough clay mixture, and that's because right now I'm finding a calm in just making bread every day. So I've been making objects in my life with bread dough. So I've been doing that. That's like the newest thing I've been doing because of the quarantine. I'm kind of running out of stuff at home too.
Yeah.
I also have an egg that I made hollow, and that's got a journal entry, and that's because like the last day I saw my grandmother was on Easter. So yeah, it's just like a journal entry from that day and like just stuff like that. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, some of them are extremely personal. Like I had one that was a washcloth, and that one was like I was engaged at one point, and I was kind of talking about that. But yeah, and some are just like more. I can speak about them a little more, which is definitely a hardship in my work because, of course, when someone visits your work, they're like, what does this mean? And I'm like, you know?
I told somebody one time, Alex and I went to a show, and it was an abstract show, and he was the main artist, but everyone had some sort of abstract art. And some guy took like macro photos of like different textures in like animals' fur. Some lady did just like kind of splatter paint stuff. And then there was another one, and the curator, I'm not going to say where it was or his name because it was just like such a silly, not really thinking comment. He like looks at one of the pieces and he goes, I love how abstract art doesn't mean anything. And I was like, well, it could mean nothing or it could mean everything. Like,
Yeah,
and no artist needs to justify their work or
right.
explain that, but some like to and some don't. So I think it's interesting also, like from piece to piece. I know most of my pieces just kind of look like, generally like have a sad mood, but like some of them aren't, like it just
Yeah,
depends. But I
yeah,
think that that's really cool.
yeah. And um, abstract artwork too, where it originated from is from emotion and feeling. And of course, that's like instilled in abstract art when you're making it. But yeah, you could have a purpose for making the abstract art, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? So yeah.
absolutely. And even looking at like some artists, like friends that I have, you can see like the evolution and the progression of like, oh, like I remember that piece was sad, and then it's like, oh, they got better or they got happier, or this happened
Yeah.
or whatever. And that's really cool to see them all like in like
Mhm.
almost timeline form. Um, how long does each piece generally take you?
My sculptures are a lot of me sitting there with objects that I found, placing them together, staring at them, living with them, and then reorganizing and re-understanding my pieces. My paintings, I'm actually a really fast painter, which is really, I don't know why, I just always have been. So I could paint a painting in like probably 4 hours,
Oh,
3 to
wow.
4. Yeah. Depends on the size too. Like right now I have a huge canvas in there, and that's like probably gonna take me a while. But yeah, I definitely busted out very easily. But yeah, it's in my way of working, it is a lot of sitting with things, staring at things, thinking about things. There's a lot of times where a piece will be sitting in the corner of my studio and I won't pay attention to it for a month, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, this is so
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, that's basically how I work.
Do you usually like have things you want to use and then you attribute, like you make connections, or do you have like a memory or something that you want to like express and then you try to find the pieces to use?
I usually find the objects first. Some I notice that when I have the memory first and I try to recreate it in an object, it doesn't work so well. Um, so yeah, throughout my day, I really have to be present and pay attention to the objects in my life and what I'm putting meaning into. Which like I go for a hike and I'm like, ooh, I really like this rock. It reminds me of like I don't know, but so yeah, or like the reason why I have this necklace in my jewelry box, and then the reason why I paid attention to it one day, or
Yeah.
so yeah, I really have to like understand everything in my life, object wise, because we really put meaning in everything. I mean, even a couch, we're like, oh, remember that time this happened, and like I had a friend over or whatever. So yeah, so I usually find the object first. Occasionally I do work from like having a memory of some sort, but I find that those pieces aren't as strong as the others. So
Did you ever like go hunting, like when the world was open? Did you like go hunting for things that you'd want to use, like, or what's your process in finding objects? Or are they always your personal objects?
So I don't remember who it's by. I'm so bad with names, but
Me too.
I recently read like a writing philosophy about how objects are placed together, and you always have one signifying object, and then you probably have two or probably one or two more other objects that kind of like push that idea forward, and then you have a mundane object. So that's kind of what I look for in my process. I'm telling a story through my objects. So I do go out and I look for other objects that don't necessarily have meaning for me, but fit well with the story that I'm telling.
Cool. Where do you like to find those objects?
I love Salvation Army.
I was gonna say old antique stores and like secondhand shops. I feel like that would be just.
Yeah, but also in my like everyday life, I find things too. Like, I don't know. Like I have a little packet of salt and pepper that I've been sitting on for a while that I'm like, I want to use this, but I don't know how. It's just silly things like that. Yeah, so I literally have a box of just things.
That's so funny. I think that's funny that you bring that up, because I have, with my mixed media stuff, a box of things that at some point I'll use. And most of them are little love notes from my baby sisters and my mom and stuff like that. The piece that I'm raffling off for the Artist Impact Fund has a little tiny note that one of them wrote in my math notebook, and it says, "You're amazing." Yeah, and so there's stuff like that, but I also have like gum wrappers and like random little things that I'll sometimes just like stick in there.
Yeah.
But I think that that's cool. I like that. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about your sculpture before we move on to the crit wall?
No, not that I can think of. Who knows what will come up, but no.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Do you find it, before we move on, do you find it hard to work in your at-home studio as opposed to, because you had one at St. Rose, right?
Yeah. So with the kind of work that I'm making, it's very personal, and what's better than working in your own home when you're talking about yourself? So like I'm at home where all my objects are, where I feel safe, where I feel comfortable. At school, it's a little harder because I'm surrounded by things that don't connect with me. And I tend to make work there that maybe doesn't really explain or portray what I want. So I actually, at the end of last semester, well, prior to that, at the end of last semester, we were in quarantine, but prior to that, pretty much the whole semester, I was working at home basically, and bringing things to school or bringing objects to school that I found at home and like kind of putting it together at school.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a lot better for me, and I feel sad about the people that have to go home and are trying to adapt to like working in their bedroom or like but for me it's been actually good and comforting.
That's great. I feel like also with pieces that are so personal and so like memory motivated almost, it's hard when you're at school, when you're surrounded by so many distractions and people and deadlines and other work and stuff like that, to like really like get into yourself and like figure it out. I remember loving locking myself in the photo studio. If I could just lock the door and cry, listen to music, what I wanted to do, and that was
emotions.
It's my best work. But that's awesome. I'm glad that you're still getting to create and do it happily at home, because I know that's not the case for everybody, and that sucks. But you also do a lot for the community. Let's start out by talking about the crit wall. What is the crit wall?
So the crit wall was kind of one of the first projects that I had started. There are two now, I think. But the crit wall was something I started back when I transferred into St. Rose, because I was realizing that I was leaving a community and kind of building a new one. And then I also realized that's what artists do 24/7. I also realized other things like the importance of having connections and being in tune with your arts community is really what brings you to be successful as an artist. So I made a platform on Facebook called the Crit Wall. And I started out just having like a community critique on there, which basically you just post your work and then other people critique for you. And that's usually once a month. And then it kind of turned into other things. It turned into a platform for people to post, for like I keep it updated with all the upcoming events, things to read, important, everything that could be important in the arts community. And then I kind of started understanding the line between being online and in person. Like a lot of times people online and you meet them in person and you're like, who the heck are you? And it's happened to me lots and lots of times. People are like, are you Lisa? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know you. And then they say their name. Oh, I'm so sorry. So yeah, it's so I've been kind of doing, well, before the quarantine again, I've been doing a lot of in-person events and a lot of me going out and meeting people and really making awareness in the community of everything that's going on. So
awesome. Very cool. We're gonna pause for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
When did the Crit Wall start?
So the Crit Wall started, it's been about 2 years ago, I think, maybe, yeah, a little over a year and a half for sure. Because it started when I transferred in. So I guess I transferred in about 2 years ago. So
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. What are your goals? Like, is there anything that you want to do also that you don't already do, or just kind of keep doing the same thing, reaching out to more people? I can't talk today. I apologize.
I have days like that too. It's okay. So I guess the Crit Wall was kind of just a project to help. I mean, I'm always trying to help other artists. That's like my goal, intention with everything that I'm doing. So that was kind of like the start of it, and it manifested all of these other things that I'm doing now, and the business that I have now, the Symmetry Art Space. I knew that I always wanted to be a business owner. I also knew that I always wanted to open an arts like community slash, like, there's a lot of ideas, but I eventually want to have a space. So Symmetry Art Space kind of manifested from all of that, and Symmetry Art Space is kind of like the umbrella of everything that I'm doing, because I'm doing a lot. So yeah, so in the future, with everything that I'm doing, I'm hoping that I can make this live and make it become an actual space to help artists. And I focus mostly on artists that are just finding themselves in their careers, because I think there is a real hardship when artists get out of education, or even outside artists, like all of that. It's real hard to like find a community and get yourself out there. So I do help all artists, but I focus most on underdeveloped and like artists just trying to figure it out. So
awesome. For the Crit Wall, what was your favorite event that you did so far?
My favorite event. So I did in November, I think. I did a Crit Wall birthday party, which was my first live event with everyone. And I had a cake made, and we went to the, what is it called? The
Troy
Troy,
Kitchen.
huh?
The Troy Kitchen.
Yeah, the Troy Kitchen.
Nice.
That was fun. It was nice, like, both seeing the supporters and also the people that were just like genuinely interested in what was going on. And we all just basically ate together, had a few drinks. It was just a few hours, and we just left, had cake. Um, so I hope to have more events like that in the future, but that was fun. I also, with the Critwell, I'm doing a series with Collarworks, and that's been really exciting too. Just seeing people is like, even if it's on Zoom, just people like interacting is like really exciting for me. So
Awesome. So back to Symmetry Art Space. That was founded just recently, correct?
yeah, that was, oops, sorry. That was founded, yeah, a few months ago. And that was basically because I always wanted to start a virtual gallery, and I've been researching it since probably a year now. And the quarantine happened, so I was like, oh my god, I gotta do this now.
Yeah.
so, so I did, and that was basically called Symmetry Art Space. And I decided that Symmetry Art Space was the title of everything I'm going to do and everything I'm going to move forward with. So I made it legit. It's an LLC now. So
Wow.
yeah. So yeah. So I kind of, yeah. I don't know.
Are you gonna like kind of combine the Crit Wall with Symmetry Art Space now? Are they like together,
Yeah.
or do you want to keep them separate?
So Symmetry Art Space, I know it's confusing because the Crit Wall came out first. I totally understand that, but I hope someday like it'll kind of be more understandable. But Symmetry Art Space, the business overtakes the Crit Wall. The Crit Wall is called now the Crit Wall Project, so it's kind of like a project under Symmetry Art Space that's still going to continue because I want it to, because it was what originated everything.
Right.
So and also I think it's important to have like an exclusive part of Symmetry Art Space that members can join and feel like, I don't know, feel like I still have events that are exclusive to the Crit Wall. Just because those are like the members that started me off and started like everything. So I just want to make that community comfortable. And so I still have events that are just the Crit Wall. And yeah.
Awesome. So for Symmetry Art Space, you kind of touched on it, but you want it to be an actual, like get a building and have it be like a gallery and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of things. I really have to, I've been working on a business plan for quite a long time now. I do want to, yeah, I do want to get a space. Where it's going to be, I have no idea. How I'm going to fund it, I don't know. But I'm sure I'll figure it out. But yeah, that's the main goal, is to really be a presence in the community in a live space. Yeah, so there's going to be still a virtual gallery, but there'll be a gallery space also. I was thinking of doing educational programs, studios, things like that. So
Nice. Do you think that you want to make it local, or do you
yeah.
want to move somewhere eventually?
No, I'll probably stay local, and like this is where my community is now, so I know it best. So I definitely think it's going to be around here. I'm just trying to understand where the arts is thriving and where it needs help and all of that in everywhere around here. Like I know Troy is doing great, so like, you know, like just things like that. So finding a space is really an important it takes a lot of thinking. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
So now you're also a curator because you're the one who chose the pieces for site.
Mhm.
How are you going to go about that? Like, what's your process for curating in the future?
So I have the next 4 shows lined up already, and they're all based on kind of like I find an artist that I really like, usually on Instagram, which was really interesting because I don't know, why not? And then I kind of base the idea around an artist. The first show, I didn't really do that. I just was like, oh, I like all of these artists. I'm gonna throw them together and make it like. So yeah, that was more like you're in that, but it was more like experimental more.
Right.
And now I'm trying to, yeah. So I don't know. It's been a really interesting thing for me because I'm like, I'm also incorporating video in the next one, and there's going to be like a digital book and like things like that. So, people have asked me about sculpture, music, and so on and so forth. So, tying everything together is really hard because I've never done anything curating. You know, like
Right.
it's a lot of thought, but I'm definitely enjoying it, and I'm trying to stay ahead of myself because it's a lot of work. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like there's so many, it's so different to have a virtual one, and as many problems as you get rid of with, like, you don't have to come in contact with people, you don't have to figure out pick up drop off times or anything, like insurance for stuff, you don't have to deal with any of that, but then it's like you have to figure out building the website and stuff like that. Was that a total pain?
Yeah, so the first website was kind of glitchy that I made, and I've definitely improved since then, so that's good. I've had a graphic designer that's been helping me, Gabby, you know Gabby, and so it's getting better. But yeah, there's a lot of hardships in having a virtual gallery, and a lot of it is um, just just gathering the information that you need, um, like and then you're having to make a whole thing every time.
Yeah.
Like, I know that when you have a gallery in general, you have to hang the work and all that, but this is like a lot of writing. It's a lot of like getting images. It's a lot of everything. So yeah, you have to basically build a whole website every single time you make a show. Um, but that's okay. And yeah, I'm definitely, it's an experience. But there are some like easier things probably too. It's, you don't have to go in contact with anybody, but I would ideally like to do that. And it's also way more like anybody could look at it, right? You don't have to travel to a
Right.
place. You can just click on it and like, so the site I think is getting a lot of attention from people that aren't so much interested in art but are interested in like how is this getting put together, and maybe we're inspiring people to be interested in art. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the biggest issue with when everything was open was getting out to shows because there's no parking anywhere. Like, it's all street parking, and that just puts a really bad start to things when you have to drive around for 40 minutes looking for parking spots. Thank
yeah,
God for Uber and Lyft, but
yeah, yeah, I know. And well, also I find that openings are, for me, I'm not saying this is a bad thing because it's totally a good thing, but I have to go see the show at least 2 to 3 times because the first time, the opening of the show, I'm usually just not even paying attention to the work. I'm like talking to everyone, you know? So sometimes I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like the gallery just had like a virtual gallery too on top of the real gallery so that you could, glance at the work and then go home and really do your research and like really read about each piece and each artist. I don't know. But
I know for sure Albany Center had one up for whatever the show was they had last time.
The last one, yeah, I saw that.
That was cool. I know that you set up yours like all digitally. You said it was like making a website. They have their actual gallery, and then it's like this big, like weird camera thing. That's pretty cool. I was almost accidentally like in one of the shots once. But yeah, that's awesome. That's great. How long are you going to? How much time is going to be in between the shows? Because the other one opened up. When was that?
In March, I think. I don't even remember. Yeah, so that's another thing I'm figuring out too. I was going to do them more spaced out, but I'm finding that I don't want people to lose interest, I guess. So I'm making it now so it's like a 2-month period in between. If I was in a real space, I'm sure they would be spaced out a lot more because it's kind of difficult to recreate a space every 2 months. With this, it's like I could definitely pump them out a little faster. So, yeah. And, the thing with having it digital is people will go on it for a few, I can see like the insights on my website. So people will go on it a lot for about a month and then they lose interest and then you don't really see that many.
Yeah.
But also that's also because of, I have to put it out there a lot more. So it's really interesting, the whole dynamic between but
definitely.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you? Are you looking for people to contact you that would like to be in the show, or right now are you kind of picking and choosing on your own?
Yeah, definitely always send me work. It's symmetryartspace at gmail.com. Jeez. You can send me whatever. There's some people that have sent me work to be in a certain show that's coming up, and I decide, oh, I like this by itself, and you're going to be just you and one other person, or, so a lot of times right now it's so open that most likely you will be in some kind of show. So yeah, so I'm not at the point now where I can turn people down for sure.
Do you want them to be local, or because it is virtual, are you accepting people from wherever?
I do have one artist that's in a show in August. He's from, I think, Berlin. Yeah, so I am taking anyone. He's showing with someone that's from Hudson. So I do try to like piggyback with someone that is from around here, but also in my head, it's important for artists to make connections with he's a pretty good artist. Like I think he's amazing. So I don't know, like making connections with anyone is good right now at this point. So yes, you should stay in your, get to know your own community, but also like you're not going to always show with people in your community. So I'm opening it up to other people also. And just because I'm I'm so active on Instagram, there's been people that have applied that aren't from around here. So
awesome.
I can't just close it, shut it down to.
So if you're interested in that, shoot Lisa an email at symmetryartspace@gmail.com. I think I got that right.
Yes.
Oh God, I don't know where my screen went. Oh my God, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know what just happened. Sorry about that, everybody. Last question, trying to close this out. What is your advice for artists that want to be involved with the community?
So I think that just being yourself and kind of communicating, going out, talking to people, the best thing for an artist to do is just go out and talk to people. Like, that's all. And I know that's like very fearful for a lot of people, especially introverts, but guess what? I'm an introvert too. But it's the best way to make connections with other artists, with other places. One artist that was showing at this gallery, you make friends with them, they could very well talk about you with that gallery. And not that I'm saying that like you need to make friends with them because they're there. Don't use
Right.
them. Like,
making connections is valuable. You can learn from other people, even if they're not in the same art form as you. Like, you can still learn from so many different people and perspectives and stuff like that.
Yeah. So just like getting yourself out there, and you don't have to talk to people about your artwork. You can just be like, I'm an artist, and, have a normal conversation with them. And, that's how things happen. My relationship with Colorworks happened because it was really random, and I just talked to Elizabeth one time, and then she liked me, and we, and then that was that. So, it's just getting yourself out there and just having conversations.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being on today and for all that you do for the community. And guys, go like Symmetry Art Space on Instagram. Does it have a Facebook page yet?
It does have a Facebook page. I'm not as active on the Facebook page. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. Well, you can also get involved with the Crit Wall. Is there any fun events coming up in the near future?
There is a lot coming up. So the Symmetry Art Instagram is usually always up to date with all of that, but let's see, we have every Friday I jump on and like talk to people, so that's fun. And then next, I think this week actually, the Crit Wall has a sketchbook share that's happening. Symmetry Art is also creating a playlist to share to everyone, and soon that will be like a little dance party online. And then Colorworks, we decided to double up on the events with them because having them online, it's more convenient for people. Like the last one, we had like 20 people. So we're having critiques online once a month with them that I'll be joining. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm sure there's more than that, but those are the ones I can think of right now. We have a hashtag show on Instagram too, which is interesting. You just put #forward on your artwork or whatever you want, and it'll bring it to the hashtag. So the hashtag is just filling up with people that are hashtagging, and then it's like a show on Instagram. So
cool. #forward.
Yeah. Awesome. #forward. Yep.
Very cool.
Yep. So so there's a lot of stuff.
Awesome. Well, I hope that everybody can make it to some sort of event soon and we can all get together. But thank you so much for being on with me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, bye.